So, I just recorded and mostly finished editing a video that's gonna pop out tonight or tomorrow that is pretty negative. Like, it's meant to be fun and cathartic. Like, that's part of the fun. It's a little salty, a little, like it's meant to be like, oh boy, we sure are going through it. But, since recording that this morning, oh my god, I have just not been well with the tariff situation. I'm not like a 30K subscriber person, with the fucking like Republican American shutdown thing, with the like America versus the world economics thing that might kill the gaming industry. I'm not taking that well. I already wasn't taking the Switch 2 price stuff very well, and I'm very unhappy. And I felt like I lost my nerve to just like shoot that sour, salty video out into the world, and I had the perfect opportunity come up to make another super budget video. They should both come out tonight. That's just more sweet and soothing and putting something to rights. And I immediately was like, nope, let's do this. So sorry about the rambling, but I am talking for the second and probably last time outside of like top 10 videos. I mean, Zelda's like a special guest here, but you don't pay me to talk about Zelda really. I owe Echoes of Wisdom a huge apology, and this is like a big conversation. Holy crap. I made a video about just the existential despair that Echoes of Wisdom's marketing put me through. And I was not alone. I had two friends who were longtime 2D Zelda fans, lovers of puzzles, lovers of item progression. We all replay Link Between Worlds to death, if not also Link's Awakening. Oh my goodness, a special friend group, me and Liz and our friend Naoto. Pretty frequent channel guests. You'll probably hear them all talk for numerous hours about different things. And we were playing Animal Well together. We had the time of our lives. We were loving the puzzles, progression, everything, just so carefully made. And at the same time, they were putting out trailers that's like, don't like a puzzle? You can skip it. In Echoes of Wisdom, turn your brain off. And we were just like, oh my god, it's a puzzle extinction event. They're attacking the puzzles because they threw out everything the series stood for and replaced it with bed. Every single puzzle, one after another, and that damn marketing material was like, Zelda can run into many situations. Sometimes you need to go across a gap. Sometimes you need to go up. Sometimes you need to go up and across a gap. And they held back so many of the uses for Echoes and so many of the puzzles that we were dumbfounded. We were like, is this going to be the end of puzzle? We started something in the shadowy organization known as the Melovania Puzzle Department, a shadowy organization that lurks in secret, was created out of this despair because I needed to do something with it. All of this to say, oh my god, that was the worst. I was anti-hype. That ruined me. I didn't like that they were continuing to be open. I didn't like that they were throwing puzzles to the wind, and I did not like the art style choice. But I have a lot of apologies to make. It's much more nuanced. A lot of what I said in that video does hold up about the art style, and I do think people were being stupid at that time in the discussions about the art style. But I have a lot of positive things to say now. So to start off with the least interesting, I feel like I've only played up to maybe the Master Sword part of the game. I've done like, maybe you could call it 3 dungeons, and there's a big story beat, and now I've got like the next set of dungeons to go do in an open order. So when it comes to like the open versus linear and the big gameplay progression, it's fine. I definitely enjoyed the freedom a bit, but I think it's going to take a couple playthroughs to really feel it out, because of course Link Between Worlds was one of the pioneers of the big open thing. People are going to be like, no, it was Zelda NES. I wasn't even like, I don't even know if my dad could make sperm when that game came out. I'll be fucking blunt with you. The game has no impact on my life. I play Link's Awakening. I play Link Between Worlds for the non-linear experience, and it's good. Like, I think it's really fun. So in a sense, like, it wasn't the macro level non-linear that I was worried about. It's the micro. But to the extent that I was looking at like a hashtag Breath of the Wild game, I was definitely like, ugh, because like I love Todic. Like I really, really like Todic. Breath of the Wild was you've probably never heard me say Todic before, huh? Yeah, Totk, Todic. Breath of the Wild, very special sentimental memory. Hasn't like stuck with me very well, but I love Tears of the Kingdom for sure. But I am plenty done with that era. So yeah, having just like 2D Breath of the Wild was concerning, but no, you've heard this a million times from reviewers, and I can't really speak to it till I've played plenty more. But yeah, they do bottleneck the freedom enough to make it feel like there's progression and plot beats. Already more plot beats than Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, probably, right? Because I have to actually stop sometimes and have the story culminate in something. So that's good. I don't know. I don't have a lot of opinions, but meh, like, yeah, to all the extent I've been like, I wish this was more linear. It's fine. I like how it is. I like that I could choose between the first two areas to go to in the first big part of the game. And I did really enjoy that I could just like sneak off to Goron City Town, and I got a couple of copies early. One was a bomb that helped me out early, and I wasn't that far from getting bomb stuff, but I was like, ooh, I got my own bombs, and it gave me that special little feeling, It takes effort, you gotta know where to get them, you gotta go out of your way to hunt them and stuff. I do feel like it's one of those things where it's fun at first, and over time it's gonna get less fun because it's like, okay, gotta go get my fire bomb enemy, and then I can start properly or whatever, Like there'll be some way in which the freedom stops being quite so fun. But again, like, putting a less harsh pressure over everything for me and my purposes and the first playthrough and however many replays I end up doing, I think it's fine so far. I like that I was able to go and grab some things early and peek at areas. I don't know. I don't really have any super big complaints, but I think I also trusted that from what we were hearing in the PR, or their early reviews too, like they were gonna bottleneck things a little bit, so that was never my biggest disappointment. The bigger ones were the puzzle echo thing and the art style, and those I have a lot more to talk about. So as you can probably already tell from my exploration bit with like Goron City and getting bombs early and the fire, yeah, it's a lot more than just bed. You can't like to the extent to which they made the game look like it was just basically gonna be, oh, here's some blocks for climbing, and oh, choose the right element to fight your opponent. Like that was heart-stoppingly dull to me. That looked awful. I was like, oh, and everybody's like, no, it's so deep, because sometimes you want to use fire on enemies, and sometimes you don't want to use fire on enemies. Like, we've had elemental systems before. They're fine, they're cool, but it's so much better than that. It's so much better than that. I will say, all of this is hit with like the heavy grain of salt, which is that the game doesn't always demand that you use your whole arsenal, but it does in the same way. Like there are situations where it's like, I could sit around and let this fight go on for extra long, or I could do an awkward thing where I finagle this one echo to solve this puzzle, or I could just use this other echo. Like, I obviously don't use all my echoes, but it is pretty impressive, like, the dozens of ones that I have on quick draw in my brain, because they have so many attributes. I never saw a reviewer properly put to words how many attributes there are. This is the key thing. This is what turned the game into my friend. I will say in a bit with the art style, like there are other reasons I love this game, but the reason that like I'm rocking with this game, and I have really enjoyed it for like sittings here and there ever since Christmas, is the ecosystem's not that bad. It's definitely better than anything Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom have going on in my mind, for my taste, because the things that exploration items and item progression items normally do are kind of spread out throughout a whole bunch of enemies and objects, and the way that you get them is such a big trickle, but like it's a big trickle that's kind of complicated. And fire is a great example for talking about this. Like, you get fire early, but you get it on an enemy that just kind of has a fire lit on its head. When I went to the Goron area, I found numerous fire enemies, obviously, and I've played most of the game with another enemy that crawls a little bit, and anything it touches catches on fire. But I don't use that one very much because my favorite echo, I think, is something that can shoot fire, but it can only shoot fire if it sees an enemy. Additionally, one of the coolest echoes I've found places a big purple, like spectral fire on the ground, and that is extra good in combat as far as I can tell. And it sticks, but it kind of moves in an awkward way, so it can be hard to finagle that enemy or that echo to do my bidding. So as you can see, there are 5 different options for setting fire every time I decide something needs to burn. And I described other elements of these things, such as one of them moves funny, one of them crawls, one of them auto-locks onto enemies. Those are also factors. And it's true that you can blunt force through the game if you want to, but it's not that good of an idea. It's like Pokemon. You can blunt force through Pokemon if you want to, but I would genuinely argue that this is so far hitting the good balance point where it's like, I don't want to just spam the same enemy over and over again. That's not effective. It's not engaging. I'm not choosing a less optimal thing because I'm just like doing a self-imposed challenge. Like, it genuinely feels like it's worth the instant of choosing, do I choose my fire shooter? Do I choose to set it on the ground? Do I choose to just pick up the guy with fire on his head and throw him at the enemy? I do all of those things, and it's not just because I'm like fond of those echoes because they're cute. Like, it feels worth it. So then you go further, and there's like different kinds of contact damage. Like, there's piercing things, I think. I mean, there's slashing at least. Piercing. I have arrows. These don't get checked that often, but they do get checked now and again. And when they get checked, it's a question of like, shit, like crap, what do I do? Like, it feels like there's a kind of bludgeoning kind of damage. There is the horizontal slash, and then there's explosion damage for sure. I don't know if I can properly list them all, but there's so many different types of damage, like fire, explosion, blunt, slashing are 4 that I can name right now. I haven't like properly put this together, but then there's also like, how do you deliver it? Some things can rolling is fun, and as they roll they do blunt damage, so that's an option. Some things will do slashing, but like they're slow and they're standing in place. I don't know what bats do, but then you get to like the birds, and like I have cycled through like 5 or 6 different flying enemies because like the basic ass keys will just like fly itself into the enemy, and it's good to have a flying thing sometimes because they're some of the most spammable. They auto lock, but they don't have to walk on the ground. They can just kind of shoot themselves. And then there are just some finicky crows in this game, man. Like, there are those classic desert crows that dive bomb you and take your rupees and stuff like that. And they are pretty good, but this is the subtle stuff, is it's not simply that one rolls and that one crawls. They also have cycles, and the cycles are the most important part of combat. This is why I don't think it's spamming one enemy you like is a great idea. Enemies can just walk over your echoes if their attack cycle starts before yours. Most echoes that are based on monsters, they cycle their attacks. They're not constantly attacking. Something that's setting fire would always be doing this. I swear to God there's other elements. I haven't got to them yet, but there are other elements besides fire. Something that's like setting fire, yeah, you just throw it at it and it's always burning. But the birds, oh my God, the birds, they're so finicky. They wait, and then they dive bomb, and then they sit for a minute, and then they dive bomb. Some of them attack more often, some of them attack less often, some of them fly in one pattern, some of them fly in another pattern. I've got a moth. The moth is really strong, but she costs more and she takes a while to pull. And then there's the Majora's Mask. It's kind of a spoiler, sorry, but to give you a hint of like the wonder here, like the Gui or whatever, like that creepy ass bird from Term in a Field, that's one of them, and it has its own thing where it's like one of the stronger birds, and its cycles are like a little bit different than the crow. I think they did a really good job here. Cycles are one of the best things about the ecosystem, where I'm always thinking like, okay, time for a bird, time for a swimming monster, but against this monster, should I spawn this guy or should I spawn that guy? And I think the cycles are the main thing that make me actually care about using different ones. Perhaps this isn't gonna hold up again. Like, I'm worried. I want it to hold up. It's been so good so far, but no, like, I can't just, like, you know, pretend that I'm seeing the warning signs like this is gonna become just like a spamathon, like your 3rd grade starter Pokemon level 88 run of Fire Red. That's how I got into Pokemon. Like, my god, like, you know, projectile enemies. Like, a piercing would be like a javelin thrower. The javelin thrower Bokos have to step back first. So it's like, okay, is this a good moment for my enemy to, for my Echo, the enemy that I'm using? Is this a good time to let him, like, step back? Or do I need, like, damage now? Like, that's a serious question that I've been asking in this first act of the game. And that's just combat. I think when it comes to puzzles and stuff too, you definitely have this thing where, as the game goes on, some puzzles do start to get obsoleted. And this was kind of like the cancer that I was worried about, where it's like, why would you use anything else if you have a water block? Like, why would you put a water block in the game if it just lets you, like, float up and skip all of the stacking? I thought stacking boxes was the point of the game. The thing with the puzzles is that you have getting around echoes, and then you have, like, how do you say, like, true puzzle solving echoes, like bomb wall destroyers, holes to dig in the ground, creating a string is a thing, a wind is a thing, and again, numerous ways to do most of these things, especially wind. I have like 3 different wind creators. Each one has a different element, whether it's its cycle or just like its range. Like, they're all different. I use all of them. It's very, very cool. And yeah, when it comes to stacking and getting around, I have been sold. Like, this is another reason why I'm making this video, is I was so skeptical of this because they were selling doing this little fucking block puzzle to get up the cliffs as like the main gimmick of the game, and then they were showing things that obsoleted it. Like, in this game, Zelda has to solve many puzzles. Sometimes she has to stock a bed on a block, or maybe a block on a bed, and then the next trailer shows like a flying tile that just lets you go over all of that. I think it's been fine so far, because the most busted things I've gotten so far, the water block and the flying tile, came as rewards for dungeons. So they're basically in the context of all of these dozens and dozens of items, like super items, where they really feel like your progression items, you know? And they do sometimes open up like actual opportunities you couldn't do before, but a lot of their work is just obsoleting the stuff that came before, which is all to say, the thing that threw me off about Echoes of Wisdom is that there are parts of the game where you need to crawl, and then you progress past that. Kind of like a Metroidvania. There are parts where you do need to stack and stack and stack, and like the trampoline part of the game was fun. The trampoline was like my buddy, but now I don't use the trampoline anymore to get over stuff and explore. I just use the water block, and that's fine. I think that's completely fine so far. I used to do like, you know, bed to cross a gap. Now I just use the flying tile, and I'm totally okay with that. And if something even stronger comes, I am okay with that, because a game about stacking things is a very boring concept for a game. I am seeing how this falls into place, and already I'm like, this is completely fine. There are other layers to engage with the game at, so taking away some of the stress, it's like Rivali's Gale on steroids, you know? At the beginning of Breath of the Wild, it's fun and gratifying to climb, but it does get old, and eventually everybody's clicking Rivali's Gale. This is like a bunch of small Rivali's Gales, and I trust that so much more than I expected to. So far, yeah, like the whole climbing and getting around thing is a thing, and it's fun. Like, it's fun to do. Like, they're not wrong about the charm of that, but it does get faded out, and I'm completely okay. I've had a great, like, dozen hours with the game. I stacked a lot of boxes. I used a lot of trampolines. I'm okay to move on. The combat is still really fun. I don't even have enemies for a lot of different attributes and elements, and I know it's going to get more interesting as I go, or at least I'll be challenged more as I go. And then there's the good juice, like the old item progression items, like, I don't know, maybe there'll be a hookshot item eventually, I don't know, but bombs have been a thing. gust, like the gust bellows has been a thing. After that, it would be like, I guess fire is technically a progression item sometimes. Maybe I haven't run into that many things like that, and it might be one of the weaknesses, but I don't know, like you still run into things you can't do, and then find things that you need to do them. And maybe this will sour, but it's been really fun so far. And on top of that, all of these echoes are so cute. I am here to issue my greatest apology of all. The greatest strength of the game, transcending the gameplay, is admittedly mixed in with one of the greatest downsides, but is nonetheless something I am so grateful made it into the game. And that is, this game really found the strengths of the toy style and became so cute and so carefully made. Now, I will say, I still stand by what I have said in the past. I absolutely wish that they used a different art style. Unfortunately, they absolutely could have done the things that I like about this here and just made the whole game a little bit better for it, by which I mean the toy style, right? On one level, I already hate it because it takes away the symbolic meaning of the art style in Link's Awakening, and that's never something we can get back. I really dislike that. I kind of beef with how like Nintendo disrespects the timeline stuff with Zelda jokingly, but I really dislike how they disrespected the symbolic meaning of the toy-like art style in Link's Awakening. That genuinely cheapens both games, in my opinion. But it gets better from here after a second dip, which is just the style. It has become completely polarized. The fields, the overworld, look like ass. Like, the water itself looks totally beautiful, but this plastic grass, I never want to see it again in my life. It's terrible. So what is it? It started as an approximation of sprites, and now it's just like a disgusting layer of like, I don't know, playmat or something. But the trees are so bad. Like, these plastic trees, like, the water looks like I could touch it, and it'd be just so beautiful. The trees, they're like immersion breaking, like the immersion breaking trees, hot topic, you know, it's kind of a blah, 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 blah thing in games opinions, but, oh my god, I still stand by what I said in that video. When I boot up the game and I see the stupid plateau shot on the cover on the title screen, I'm just like, ugh, that looks like shit. It looks so bad. It just doesn't look like nature. The point is like this overflowing nature, I guess. It just does not look good. Some areas look better than others, but the greener it is, the worse it looks. The rocks have always looked beautiful in this style. I like the rocks. The water's wonderful. Sand is good. But oh my god, it's a Zelda game, and I don't like when it's green and leafy. However, that is at the opposite end of this game is unspeakably beautiful when it comes to towns and houses and characters. They really, really, really found the strength of this art style, and it is inside. It is indoors. The towns look like God's gift to man, and the forests look like dog ass. They literally could just replace the stupid title screen plateau shot with a shot of Zelda sleeping happily in her bedroom, and it would be so much better. I would completely surrender to my bed overlords and let them go all the way with it if they knew what looked good in their game. I can't even gush enough about it. Like, Jesus Christ, every single time I go to a new town, it is such a joy. The music's really good, by the way. I love the music. All of the songs, especially for towns, like, put me in a great mood, but every house is unique. And this is even better than Link's Awakening because, like, they took the sort of Breath of the Wild approach and they emphasized a lot of side quests, a lot of NPCs, a lot of little side characters. I love that. I really love that we have, like, 3D Zelda levels of NPCs. That helps bring the houses to life. Unfortunately, like, it's still not that much of the game. You don't spend a lot of time in these houses, but Much more than maybe Village and the Animal Town and Sim City in Link's Awakening. Yeah, when you go to a town, there's a bunch of houses to go to. Almost everyone is filled with so many knickknacks and doodads and just wonderful decorations and unique character models that look so cute. Again, none of this is exclusive to the toy style. You could have done a slightly different style and had the same appeal and just made the grass look better, but my god, they found it. Like, they found what they're good at. Like, I truly am very grateful that Grezzo took what they had and ran with it. Because if they made a different art style, they may not have gone off as hard as they did here. They may not just be doing like flourish after flourish after flourish on all of these random like fisherman huts in Seaside Village. They might not have. So in a way, you know, I really appreciate what the game has. I really, really do. I'm glad that they made a bazillion enemy models for the echoes. Can you imagine if the enemy variety was as bad in this game as like Breath of the Wild? They're so lovely, they're so well animated, they're so cute, and the voices are so good, which I already liked about Link's Awakening. So it's great to have them in my hands. Spoilers. Or no, an exciting announcement. I am still thinking about that Link's Awakening guide. I will do it eventually. I've decided that now that the storm has passed of Echoes of Wisdom, I won't just spend the whole game bitching about Echoes of Wisdom. And if you watch that, you know that I love the enemies in Link's Awakening, so having them be my friends is great. If there's any one way where the strength of the game transcends just the occasional stop in a village, it's the echoes are just so cute, but again, the cute, charming echoes kind of falter in comparison to just how majestic these towns are. These houses are just like breathtaking, from little details in like the windows and how the light shines on the floor to just the colors, and my god, everything is just so fantastic. And what's funny is I have noticed a trail of very small things, which makes me feel like I'm confident saying this kind of iffy thing, which is, I feel like you can kind of tell this was one of the early games to be directed by a woman at Nintendo and Nintendo's, you know, buddy companies or whatever Grezzo would be at this point. There are so many little touches where I'm like, ah. There are so many little things. The first one that tipped me off is maybe the way that Impa and Zelda talk is very, very, it's kind of intimate in a subtle way. It's not like crazy powerful or whatever, but there are a lot of little things, like when Impa looks away when Zelda gets changed. Impa's like not a major recurring character so far, but every Impa cutscene, I'm like, yeah, this was written by a woman, or like a woman was overseeing this. Like, it just felt very, very like, I don't know, like, the girls are good. Like, the girl characters feel very real, and that's a consistent trend, right? Like, I randomly just met a woman in Hyrule Town who's like, I was a guard, and I'm like, have we ever had a female guard in Hyrule? I don't think we have. It's like just the Gerudo, and Gerudos are a whole thing. No, but beyond that, that makes me feel confident saying that I feel like the person overseeing a lot of the big decision making was somebody who fucking has good sense when it comes to like styles and has decorated houses themselves. And again, this sounds a little bit gender essentialist. Anybody can do this, but it's what a coincidence. Like, the game that's directed by a woman, like Ayakyo Goku and the recent Animal Crossings, kind of has the touch of somebody who's in touch with interior design. And I know it sounds very gender essentialist, but boom, it's right there. Like, what are some of the best looking houses in all of Nintendo's history? Animal Crossing New Horizons and Echoes of Wisdom. And that's a complicated statement. I'm not saying this is like good. I'm not saying like women house whatever. I'm just saying you can see the strength of the director in this game. Like, I feel like the art direction is particularly good, especially when it comes to the little details. Like, I feel like this was directed by somebody who would spend like $70 on a really, really fancy purse because she can appreciate what good craftsmanship feels like. I walk into some of these houses and I feel like I'm at a salon with the girlies. And Maybe I'm digging myself into a hole here, but there is just such a wonderful sense for like like there's just like the person directing this game has such a good sense for like cozy and comfy in a certain way that is often kind of like locked away or like pushed heavily onto like girl life, you know what I mean? Like makeup and all that stuff. Like there's just so many good, subtle, sensitive touches that either make me feel like the girls are written really well, or like the person who's directing this game like actually gives a shit about how their interior looks. And I know that sounds super gender essentialist, and I'm not saying men can't care about their interiors. Please, everybody take a note from this game's page. I'm just saying, I'm just saying they took the strength of this game and they flexed it to 11. For example, fuck, they know how to decorate. Like, fuck. Unfortunately, that's not a big part of the game, you know? Like, it's just a side thing, but damn if I can't call it out when I see it. Just, man, this game needs to be known for having the best houses ever. So in conclusion, this game just makes me really happy, and I felt that way from the very beginning. It's just really nice and comfortable, almost bordering on Kirby levels of just like nice sensory experience for the most part. There are parts that are kind of dull and uninspiring, sure, but at that point, the gameplay is usually fun. And I've just been really happy with how this first act has gone. I know a lot of people do enjoy the beginning of this game and then fall off, so hopefully that doesn't happen to me. And I've said a few times, like, yeah, certain things are very strong. They may or may not actually be important things to have gotten right, such as useless echoes or, you know, interior design, which doesn't carry into the rest of the game necessarily, but nonetheless, things that I really value. And it just makes me smile, so it felt bad that my only standalone Zelda video was kind of, you know, putting all this negativity on it. And again, I stand by what I said. When people were calling people that don't like this art style the Wind Waker hate train all over again, that was crazy dumb. Like, holy crap, that was ridiculous. I wish it was a different art style. I think they still could have done all the stuff I like with a different art style, but I concede, having already had all the assets, they happened to just go above and beyond and make something really absurdly charming with it, and I really value that. Also, I realized there are definitely other female guards outside of the Gerudo. I could name like 7 probably in like the Zora world, right? I think so. I think that happens. There are probably some in Breath of the Wild too, but when it hit me in the brain at first, I'm like, that feels uncommon. I don't know. That's the danger of doing all this shit in one take, but I hope I didn't just one take up too much of your time. Yeah, no, I like this game a lot. I hope it holds up, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Echoes of Wisdom. It's complicated, but I'm definitely sorry.